Hey everyone and welcome. Today, we are going to tackle a huge question in service management, one that can honestly make or break how well your team performs. What actually is an incident? Really nailing this down is the absolute first step to fixing things fast. All right, let's get into it.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about defining the boundaries. Then, we'll look at what's inside the scope of an incident and, just as important, what's outside of it. After that, we'll dig into the key differences in how you handle these things, and we'll wrap it all up by talking about why getting this right is just so important.
Okay, picture this. Your main application is crawling. A new hire can't log in because they need a password, and somewhere else, a server is just completely dead. Now, in the heat of the moment, all of these feel like fires you need to put out, right? But should we really be treating them all the same way? The answer, you've probably guessed, is a huge no.
And that leads us right into our first point. See, in the world of professional IT, you just can't solve problems quickly if you don't draw a really clear line in the sand first. And trust me, this isn't about adding red tape. It's all about creating clarity so you can move faster.
So here it is, the golden rule, the one definition you've got to remember. An incident is any event that causes a service degradation or an outage. Simple as that. If something isn't working the way it's supposed to, or, not working at all, you've got an incident on your hands. This right here is our North Star for everything else we're going to talk about.
All right, let's get a little more specific. With that definition in mind, what are the things that officially fall inside the bucket of incident management?
The thing is, an incident can pop up from anywhere. Of course, you've got the obvious one, a service is slow or it's down. But it can also be a user calling in to report a problem, or an automated alert that fires off from your monitoring tools. It might even come from one of your suppliers telling you they have an issue. Then you've got your major incidents. Those are the really big, painful ones. And, sometimes even a service request that gets sent to the wrong place is treated as an incident at first, just to make sure nothing important slips through the cracks.
Okay, now for the other side of the coin, which is just as important. We have to know what an incident is not. Honestly, this is where so much of the confusion and the wasted time really comes from.
So, here are the three big ones that always get mixed up with incidents. First, you have service requests. That's when you just need something. Then there are problems. That's all about digging in and finding the root cause of incidents that have already happened. And finally, you have changes, which is about adding something new or modifying a service. All of these are super important, but none of them are an incident.
Now, here's the critical part. Just because these things are out of scope for incident management, that does not mean they get ignored. Not at all. It just means they get sent down a different, specialized path that's built specifically for them. It's really about choosing the right tool for the job.
And here's what that actually looks like. If somebody needs a new laptop or access to a folder, that's a service request, and it goes to request fulfillment. If you're trying to figure out why the email server has crashed 3 times this month, that's a job for problem management. And if you're deploying a new update, that has to go through your change enablement process. See, every issue has its own home.
Let's just boil this down to the simplest possible distinction, because this is the one that causes the most mix-ups. An incident means something is broken. This service isn't working right. A service request means you need something, like a new account or a piece of software. Broken versus need. That's it. That's the core difference you have to remember.
So this brings us to the big so what question. Why are we spending all this time drawing lines and defining terms? Well, because getting this scope right has a massive, immediate impact on how well your team can actually perform.
Just think about the perfect workflow for a second. When an issue comes in and you correctly identify it right away, it instantly goes to the right process. That process then sends it to the exact team with the right skills for that job. And because the right people have it, they can solve it way more efficiently without wasting anyone's time. Each step flows perfectly into the next, all because of that one decision at the very beginning. And that, right there, is the real payoff. This isn't just about following rules for the sake of it. When you create these clear boundaries, you take a situation that could be totally chaotic and you make it streamlined. It leads directly to getting things fixed faster, which, at the end of the day, means happier people who can actually do their jobs. So, I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Now that you've got this clear line in your head between something being broken and something being needed, how could really enforcing that scope change the way your team works every day? How much faster could you be? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.